So what's the context in which this year's council budget is being set?
The context is this is the second year running that we've had to make substantial cuts, and they're going to go on and on for the foreseeable future because the economy is not doing well. The other part of the context is the more we do make cuts, the less demand there's going to be in the economy. So in a sense, unless there's a change in government policy, it's going to be a self-fulfilling problem. The third part of the context is that we're having to make serious reductions in services, and my worry is that we will end up with an American-style local government where you're relying massively on charity and you're just providing minimal service, which I don't think is what the British people want. Having said all that, we are doing our best, not just to sit back. We recognise that we've got to do something for our city economy, so we are prioritising jobs. We've got 1.5 million put aside to help young people in particular to get into jobs. We are prioritising cleanliness and security because we remember what happened in the 1980s when people didn't give priority during a recession to those two things. We're prioritising trying to keep some building going, so we've got, as people know, the tram, and then we will try and get jobs out of the A453. Those are just some of our priorities, and we will stick with them.
How much has the funding available to the council been reduced?
Last year we lost 60 million. This year we've had to make cuts of 20 million. That's 80 million in total. There's another 12 million next year and 12 million the year after. Why? We do recognise that some cuts have to be made. The problem that we have is the fairness of it. Nottingham people are losing well over £100 per head during this period. The people of Wokingham down south, where they are far better off, will be losing £1 per head over this period. There's a massive unfairness to it.
So what other pressures are there on the council's budget this year?
Yeah, you're right. It's not just government cuts that are causing problems. We have an increasing elderly population, so we're having to put aside at least 1.5 million to help them next year. We've also got increasing problems with child protection, as has every council in the land, and that is going to cost us another 2.5 million next year because we cannot risk the lives of children. So a combination of government cuts and all these pressures and inflation, which is high, is putting additional pressures on our budget.
What has the council been doing to make savings in areas other than frontline services?
We have gone through all the back office services. We've reduced what people would call bureaucracy, although you do need some bureaucracy. We are managing our money extremely well. We've saved £2.5 million in the way we manage our money in terms of interest rate swaps. We are working with other authorities, with Gedling, with Leicestershire, to share overheads. There's a whole range of things we've done in order to minimise cuts on the front line.
And what will this year's council budget mean for the level of council tax?
The council tax will have to go up, unfortunately. It's not something we wanted to do. The government has offered money for us not to do it. However, that money has got strings, and if we were to accept that money, it would mean that we'd have to pay a penalty year on year of £1 million for what would be a £2.5 million 1 year donation from the government. In the end, that doesn't make financial sense. Other councils are recognising that. Leicester, Gedling, locally. Peterborough Conservative Council has also recognised that it is not a good deal. It wouldn't be fair on the citizens of Nottingham. They'd be losing £1 million a year forever if we were to take that 2.5 million this year.
And finally, what has the council been doing to get the views of local residents ahead of the budget this year?
We have consulted very widely, and we have got the results back, and one of the reasons why we've got the priorities we have is listening to people saying this is what they wanted to preserve. They were very keen on cleanliness, as you can expect. They were very keen on community protection, particularly keeping the CPOs, but they also recognised that we needed to invest in jobs. That was probably their top priority at this moment, and that's what we're doing.